There comes a moment in life when the noise of the world suddenly becomes quiet, when your heart begins to hear something your ears cannot explain, and when your spirit starts feeling that a change is not only near, but already standing at the door. This message begins with a powerful statement. At first, these words may sound mysterious, dramatic, even impossible to understand in a normal way. But when we go deeper, this message is not really about confusion. It is about urgency. It is about divine timing. It is about awakening. It is about realizing that love, destiny, connection, and transformation do not always arrive with warning. Sometimes they arrive in one small window of time, one emotional shift, one divine opening, one decision, one response, one moment of courage. And if you miss that moment because you were distracted, wounded, afraid, or spiritually asleep, you may delay what was meant for you. When we say God says, we are speaking about the voice of higher wisdom, the voice that calls people beyond fear, beyond pain, beyond the broken patterns of yesterday. The voice of God is not always loud, but it is always clear to the soul that is ready. God speaks through peace, through conviction, through signs, through intuition, through moments that feel bigger than logic. The message here is that heaven may be trying to tell you something important. Your season is changing. What you prayed for is not as far away as it used to be. The loneliness you carried is not permanent. The delay you cried over is not your final chapter. God's voice in this message is not trying to entertain you. It is trying to wake you up. It is trying to pull your attention away from disappointment and redirect it toward possibility. Then we hear another name in the statement, Elon Musk. Why would a name associated with technology, invention, ambition, and bold thinking appear next to a spiritual message about soulmates? Because in symbolic terms, Elon Musk represents movement, disruption, speed, intelligence, future thinking, and a refusal to stay limited by ordinary thinking. In this message, that name becomes a symbol of action. It points to the reality that destiny may require more than prayer alone. It may require response. It may require movement. It may require stepping out of emotional old systems and entering a new mindset. Love is not only about waiting. It is also about alignment. It is about becoming the kind of person who can recognize, receive, protect, and sustain the connection when it appears. The phrase, only 6 minutes, carries deep meaning. 6 minutes is short. It is urgent. It is not a lifetime. It is not next year. It is not someday. It is a narrow opening. Spiritually, 6 minutes can represent a final warning before a shift. Emotionally, it can represent the small but decisive space in which a life-changing decision is made. In human experience, life often changes not because of long speeches, but because of brief moments that reveal truth. A phone call can change everything. A message can change everything. A meeting can change everything. A sudden inner realization can change everything. 6 minutes symbolizes a fragile window in which destiny asks you, are you ready now, or will you delay your blessing again? The part that says, your soulmate open now sounds unusual, but hidden inside it is a strong emotional truth. It suggests that a door is open, a connection is opening, a path is unlocking. A person who is spiritually, emotionally, or destiny connected to you is no longer behind a closed gate. The energy is shifting. The resistance is breaking. The time of blockage may be ending. But the opening does not only refer to another person. It also refers to you. Your heart must open. Your understanding must open. Your ability to forgive must open. Your willingness to trust again must open. If the right person comes into your life while your soul is still locked inside the pain of your past, then even a divine connection can feel like a threat instead of a blessing. Many people say they want their soulmate, but what they really want is relief from loneliness. Those two things are not the same. Loneliness makes people desperate. Soul connection requires maturity. Loneliness makes people cling to attention. Soul connection requires discernment. Loneliness asks, Who will stay with me so I do not feel empty? Soul Connection asks, who aligns with my purpose, my peace, my growth, and my deepest truth? This is why this message is so important. It is not simply telling you that love is coming. It is warning you not to confuse appetite with destiny. Not everyone who excites you is sent for you. Not everyone who notices you is meant to build with you. The true soulmate connection does not only stir your emotions,
God's timing
it also
often looks
strengthens
late to
your
human
spirit.
mind, but it is never late in the deeper design of life. There are seasons when you feel forgotten, overlooked, abandoned, or passed by, while others seem to find love, companionship, and harmony so easily. In those seasons, the enemy of hope whispers that maybe love is not for you. Maybe you have missed your chance. Maybe your wounds are too deep. Maybe your age, your history, your mistakes, or your past choices have disqualified you. But this message challenges that lie. It says the door is not closed. It says there is still movement in the unseen. It says heaven has not canceled your story. It says what seemed delayed may only have been protected until the right time. A soulmate is not simply someone you find attractive. A soulmate is not merely the person who says the right words at the right time. A soulmate, in the deepest sense, is a person whose presence activates truth in you. They do not just make your heart race. They make your soul recognize something ancient, familiar, and sacred. Around them, masks begin to fall. Pretending becomes difficult. Running becomes difficult. You begin to confront yourself more honestly. This is why soulmate connections can feel beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They expose the places where you are healed and the places where you are still hiding. They reveal your tenderness, your fear, your longing, your wounds, and your capacity for transformation. That is why open now is such a serious phrase. An open door does not guarantee entry. An open door simply gives opportunity. The question is whether you are spiritually and emotionally available enough to walk through it. Some people miss love because they are chasing what looks impressive instead of what feels true. Some miss love because they are addicted to chaos and cannot recognize peace. Some miss love because they mistake trauma bonding for deep connection. Some miss love because they refuse to release an old name, an old memory, an old betrayal, or an old image of how love was supposed to arrive. So when a message says your soulmate is open now, it is also saying, clear the room inside you, make space, let go, pay attention, become honest, become calm enough to recognize what is real. The mention of 6 minutes can also be understood as a spiritual countdown. Not a countdown to fear, but a countdown to clarity. Think about how many times life gave you signs, and you ignored them. Think about how many times your intuition knew the truth before your mind accepted it. Think about how often you felt a strong pull, a deep warning, or a sacred knowing, yet talked yourself out of it because it was inconvenient, unfamiliar, or too intense. 6 minutes represents the final moments before hesitation becomes regret. It is a sacred tension between revelation and response. In those minutes, you do not need to know everything. You only need to recognize enough truth to move. This message is also about preparation. People often pray for a person when they should also be praying for readiness. What is the use of receiving a meaningful connection if your communication is still defensive, your trust is still fractured, your identity is still dependent on validation, and your peace still collapses every time someone becomes emotionally close? Soulmate love is not magic that erases inner work. In many cases, it intensifies the need for inner work. Real love does not merely comfort you. It refines you. It shows you where your reactions are still ruled by fear. It shows you where you still expect abandonment. It shows you where you built walls so high that even blessings cannot enter. The God part of this message reminds us that love is not random in the spiritual sense. There are meetings that feel orchestrated. There are encounters that arrive with impossible timing. There are conversations that begin like accidents but carry the weight of design. Sometimes you meet someone and it feels as if a prayer has taken human form, not because the person is perfect, but because the connection awakens purpose, honesty, softness, courage, and peace. Divine connection is not always easy, but it is meaningful. It pushes both people toward growth. It aligns with truth. It reveals what must be healed. It teaches what must be learned. It carries a depth that cannot be explained by surface attraction alone. The Elon symbol in this message adds another layer. The future belongs to those who are ready to move when the signal comes. In innovation, timing matters. In purpose, timing matters. In relationships, timing matters. Two good people can still fail if they meet in the wrong season and refuse growth. But when timing and readiness meet, something powerful happens. Suddenly what was complicated becomes clear. What was blocked begins to move. What was impossible begins to feel natural. This is why the message carries urgency. Do not sleep through your own season. Do not let distraction steal the very thing you prayed to receive. Do not be so attached to old pain that you reject a hidden warning inside this message. Not every open door is your soulmate. Some doors are tests. Some are temptations. Some are lessons disguised as promises. This is why discernment matters more than excitement. Excitement feels good quickly. Discernment protects you long term. Ask yourself, does this connection bring confusion or clarity? Does it drain peace or increase peace? Does it awaken my higher self or my old wounds? Does it invite truth, patience, respect, and mutual growth? Or does it feed insecurity, obsession, performance, and instability? A soulmate connection may challenge you, but it will not consistently destroy your dignity. It will not require you to betray your values in order to keep it. When God opens a door, there is usually a matching instruction. Release fear, release control, release bitterness, release the need to force outcomes. You cannot manipulate your way into a sacred connection. You cannot perform your way into real love. You cannot lie your way into peace. What is meant for you will often require honesty before it requires strategy. Some people want a prophetic promise of love without the discipline of emotional integrity. But divine love does not flourish in deception. It flourishes in truth. It flourishes where two people are willing to be real, willing to heal, willing to listen, willing to grow, willing to choose each other in substance, not only in fantasy. The phrase, your soulmate open now, can also mean that your soulmate is becoming available at the same time you are becoming aware. That is important. Sometimes the door opens in the external world while the internal world remains asleep. But when awareness rises, you begin to notice different things. You stop entertaining what depletes you. You stop glorifying inconsistency. You stop chasing mixed signals. You stop settling for emotional crumbs and calling them destiny. You begin to understand that what is sacred does not always scream. Sometimes it arrives quietly, steadily, truthfully. Sometimes a real connection does not look dramatic at first because it is not built on confusion. It is built on alignment. There are people listening to this message who have been through deep heartbreak. They trusted the wrong person. They gave too much. They waited too long. They believed promises that were never going to be fulfilled. They mistook chemistry for covenant. And now when love is mentioned, their first response is not hope but defense. Their heart says, I cannot survive another disappointment. If that is you, hear this clearly. Protecting your heart is understandable, but imprisoning it is costly. Healing does not mean becoming foolish again. Healing means becoming wise without becoming cold. It means learning to discern without assuming everyone will harm you. It means remaining open to what is true without surrendering yourself to what is false. 6 minutes can also symbolize the final distance between where you were and where you're going. Many blessings enter life after a period of pressure. Right before breakthrough, the mind often becomes restless. Right before clarity, confusion can increase. Right before the right connection appears, the wrong patterns often try one last time to regain control. That is why many people sabotage their next season at the edge of arrival. They return to what is familiar. They contact the old person. They replay the old drama. They settle for the old standard. They abandon the new path because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. But destiny often requires discomfort before fulfillment. The old must lose its grip before the new can be held. The soulmate journey is not only about romance. It is also about identity. Who are you when no one is validating you? Who are you when no message comes? When no one chooses you? When no visible sign appears? If your entire work collapses in silence, then love becomes an idol instead of a gift. But when your identity is rooted in something deeper, God, purpose, truth, inner dignity, then love can enter your life without becoming your master. You can receive it with gratitude instead of desperation. You can participate in it with freedom instead of fear. You can choose from wholeness instead of emptiness. This is a kind of inner position that recognizes soulmate connection does not mean there will never be difficulty. It means the difficulty will have meaning. It means a relationship becomes a place of growth, not constant emotional destruction. It means both people are willing to confront ego, heal patterns, speak truth, and build peace. It means love becomes a workshop for character, not a battlefield of endless instability. In fantasy, soulmates are effortlessly perfect. In mature reality, soulmates are often people who deeply recognize one another and still choose the work required to protect that connection. Recognition may be instant, but building is a process. Spiritual connection may be powerful, but daily love still requires humility, communication, and consistency. This message also speaks to timing in a modern world. We live in a culture of distraction, speed, scrolling, comparison, and surface impressions. Many people want deep love while living in shallow attention. They want profound connection while training themselves to consume people quickly and move on faster. They want sacred relationships while remaining emotionally unavailable. So the call to open now is radical. It asks you to slow down enough to feel. It asks you to listen beneath appearance. It asks you to notice whether your heart is actually ready for what your mouth keeps asking for. Because sometimes a delay is not punishment. Sometimes it is mercy. Sometimes you are being protected from receiving a blessing you are not yet able to steward. If this message finds you at the right time, then maybe the 6 minutes are happening right now. Not on a clock, but in consciousness. Right now. You may be standing in a moment where one decision changes the direction of your emotional life. One decision to forgive. One decision to release the past. One decision to stop calling toxic attachment love. One decision to trust God's timing more than your fear. One decision to stop rejecting healthy connection because it does not resemble the intensity of past chaos. One decision to become the version of yourself that can receive peace without running from it. These decisions may seem small, but they open large doors. And let us go even deeper into the word meaning. The meaning of this entire message is not merely that a person is coming. The deeper meaning is that your life is moving from closure to openness, from stagnation to flow, from waiting to preparation, from fantasy to discernment, from pain to wisdom, from isolation to alignment. The soulmate theme here becomes a symbol of divine companionship in all forms. The right relationships, the right season, the right internal condition, the right revelation at the right time. It is a call to awaken to love not as obsession, not as entertainment, not as ego validation, but as a sacred meeting between truth and readiness. So if God says something is opening, do not answer with fear. If destiny gives you a window, do not delay with excuses. If life is calling you into a higher pattern of love, do not keep kneeling before the lower pattern simply because it is familiar. The right connection may not fit your old wounds, and that is a good thing. The right love may not feed your insecurity, and that is a good thing. The right person may not trigger the same addiction to uncertainty, and that is a good thing. Healthy love often feels unfamiliar to a nervous system that has normalized chaos. That is why healing is necessary. That is why awareness matters. That is why this opening must be recognized with both heart and wisdom.